I want to talk to you today about an administrative separation board, or it's also called a board of inquiry or a BOI. So essentially what happens is if you have over 6 years of service or you're getting recommended for an other than honorable discharge, what happens is that you will start off by getting a notice of separation or an initiation of separation. And so what this means is that you're being looked at to be separated from the military. There are conditions upon which that the command needs to be able to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that you have done some kind of misconduct and that misconduct warrants you getting out. So once you get the initiation of elimination, you normally have 7 days to respond to it. And we will normally at that time, we'll do what's called an election of rights. That's going to go through all your rights. And we'll do a video on election of rights, as we go forward. The other thing that they're going to basically have you do is they're going to ask you if you want to do rebuttal matters or whether you want to submit a letter or you want to submit some kind of matters in response to the initiation of elimination. Now, if they have started an initiation of elimination on you and you have over 6 years or you're getting recommended for another than honorable discharge, I only like to put in the election of rights. And the election of rights is telling them that you're asking for a board, you want to go forward and fight this thing, things like that. But what you're really doing is you're withholding your evidence at this point. And the reason you're withholding your evidence is because if you put everything that you've got in and you still have to go forward in order to get in front of the general or get in front of the brigade commander, and they're going to basically look at this and decide if they're going to go to a separation board on you, you're giving them a chance to look at their errors in the way that they preferred the initiation and to look at their errors in their defense and kind of go forward. So as an example, I had a warrant officer at one point, and what he wanted to do was once we got our initiation elimination for his BOI, he wanted to put in the biggest packet he could because he was convinced that general would believe him once he got his packet in front of them. Now I was telling him, look, let's save all this for the board president. Let's save all this for when we actually get in front of the board. So the prosecution doesn't have the ability to counter us. And he didn't listen to me, and I'm a slave to my client, so I did what he told me to do. We put in 154 pages with a full rebuttal from me, a full rebuttal from my client, and we put it up through the command, and guess what happened? They read everything we got, and they basically said, oh, we initiated this elimination in a way that they can defend it. So they withdrew the separation, rewrote the paperwork, and added charges to it that we had not been defending against in order to use this all against him. Now, the good news is when we go to the board and he finally listens to me the next time, we're able to win this board later on down the road. But it's just a good example of, look, you got to be careful what you ask for. If they're coming after you with an initiation of elimination and they've decided that they're going to separate you from the military, think about it. Are they then the same people that gave you this initiation of elimination? Are they going to then withdraw everything and basically say, oh, you're right, we got it wrong. We just put all this paperwork together, we did all these investigations, we did all this work, but we're glad that you wrote us this information because we suddenly realized that we got it all wrong. Doesn't really work like that. So once you've gone through that initial paper part, the second part of this is you're going to have the president of the board reach out to you and begin to work for the board date. If you have an attorney, if I'm working for you, I'm doing all this part of it. But eventually what's going to happen, you're going to get in front of the board. And the board basically runs like this. We'll get into each individual parts. We've already got a video that talks about witnesses. But there are 3 things that this board is going to look at. 1, the board's going to look at whether or not there was misconduct. Surprisingly, in most boards, there is misconduct. They have basically an investigation. They've got CID. They've got some kind of law enforcement. They have something that shows that you've committed misconduct. You're going to be in a place that you're going to have a hard time saying there's no misconduct. Now, we're going to mitigate the misconduct. And what that means is the government's going to say this was this huge thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, no, it's a much smaller thing. But really, most fights are not that you're going to have an initiation of elimination. They're not based on the idea, was there misconduct? Because the 3 things that they have to prove as a government: 1, there was misconduct. 2, you're not retainable, and 3, that you are going to have to get out on some kind of discharge that is less than honorable. Those are the 3 fighting areas that they're going to have as far as once we go to the board. So the first thing is we have misconduct. The second thing we look at is, are you retainable, or can you be retained? This is where most separations and their separation boards get into a big fight. Because what we're looking for from your witnesses is people that are going to say, hey, this guy is an asset to the Army. This soldier is going to be somebody that we need to retain. That's what we're trying to build. While the government's doing the exact opposite. They're saying this misconduct is so much that we've lost trust in this person and now we need to separate them. So this is where your big fight's going to be, is it going to be in retention. If you are unable to be retained, then the next big fight is we're asking for an honorable discharge. If not that, then we're asking for a general discharge. But the main number one thing that we are fighting against, and we do not want to have happen, is the idea that you're going to get an other than honorable discharge and lose all your benefits. So this is what this fight is going to be about. It's going to be about those 3 things. It's going to be about, 1, has there been misconduct? Probably the government's going to win on this. 2, are you retainable? That's where we're going to win. We're going to win on that one. And if not, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that you get that honorable discharge. But I'd like to help you. Call me at 931-217-7648. If you can't call, give it a text. You can also email me at jphillipslaw22. Finally, if you look down, you're going to see that there's an appointment link. You can click that link and you get straight onto my calendar, and we'll be reaching out to you and calling you. I hope you appreciate this information. Subscribe to us. Help us out. Give us a good comment. Thank you.